Bonjour et bienvenue dans l'épisode 4 de Little Treasure Cove. La semaine dernière, Solaris a construit une superbe taverne pirate. Mais cette semaine, Starport et moi allons réaliser de grands avancées sur Main Street. Oh goodness, I just said all of that in French, didn't I? Let's try that again. Hello and welcome back to episode 4 of Little Treasure Cove. Last week, Solaris built a wonderful pirate tavern, but this week Starport and I will be making great progress on Main Street. I don't know about you, but I think that sounded much better in French. Oh well. In the days of Little Rock Ridge, this plot was once home to a pizza shop. However, this time it will be home to burgers and milkshakes. I also wanted to elevate my design significantly, and literally. After doing some very painless pathing, I positioned our shops by aligning them to a temporary building. I wrapped the shops in modern wood batten walls, but later changed this to my favourite natural wood batten. Speaking of said natural wood batten, I created the lower section of the build, leaving a large overhang for some covered seating. I'm nothing if not a stickler for realism, and it doesn't take a genius to work out this overhang needs some support. I did so with columns and pillars. Time for some good old trims. I used more wooden columns to blend the pathing with the existing building. I created a lovely nautical door all by myself without any inspiration whatsoever. Just kidding, I stole it from CoasterCAD. Running with the whole stealing thing, I replicated a pirate-themed facade from Pleasurewood Hills theme park. I then quite literally chucked random wood things on the side of the build to add some texture. Well, I guess being haphazard is sometimes the only way. What's better than one trim? 3 trims. I added a couple of loading doors because, well, we can't throw all caution to the wind, and this shop needs to get its supplies somehow. I felt far too sensible with all those practical doors, so I threw some fake ones on for good measure. Making a start on the upper level, I began by fencing off the bits where silly folk would inevitably fall off. Next I made a start on a large pergola, which is to cover the upstairs seating. Nothing is ever too uniform in the real world, so taking advantage of the rope fences being too short, I created a custom plank fence for this end of the balcony. A pergola can't be a pergola without pergs. I made that up. Pergs aren't a thing. Using a basic shape to measure, I evenly spaced some taut rope. I topped it off with some beautiful climbing roses, although are they really climbing? More like laying comfortably. Moving on to the food hut itself, I gave it a roof using decking before recolouring the shop fronts using art shapes. Gosh, I'm so innovative. Next is just the usual trims and detailing, yada yada yada. Our staircase reaches dizzying heights, so a handrail is absolutely vital. With the pathing still in place from Little Rock Ridge, I simply covered it using sandstone roofing and sunk it into the ground. I then separated various bits from the building for precise placement, ensuring to adjust it ever so slightly to avoid Z fighting. Time for some good old-fashioned detailing with barrels, wall decorations, rope pulleys and such. I added some benches and picnic tables before racing back to do some more detailing. I just couldn't help myself. With that distraction out of the way, I continued my seating. After placing a sneaky cheeky staff room, I partially covered the upper level in decking. Next I placed some bins, planters and added some rope decoration to the edge of the balcony. There's really no end to my creativity. Time for that good old nighttime lighting. I used a lovely contrasting palette of blue and yellow. I added some festoon to the balcony using area lights to create some emission that's ever so lacking. With my bits done, it's time for this week's guest. Starport55 is very well known in the Planet Coaster community and barely needs any introduction. With creations like Carnival, Cloud Runner, Mind Warp, The Institute, and most recently Luminescence, there's no denying his builds are on another level, and he maybe likes neon quite a bit. Without further ado, here he is to present his build.
Hey everyone, Starport55 here. For starters, I just want to take a moment to thank the amazing Moomin Little Socks for inviting me onto his series. When Moomin asked me to build something for it with no TMTK and DLCs, it sounded like a fun challenge, even with the fact that it's pirate themed and is something I've never built before. I was tasked with theming the 360 of Power flat ride. What challenged me the most was deciding how to skin it and have it fit the pirate look just like the rest of the park. I eventually settled on having it themed to a hurricane that many sailors battled with in the past. I also added a short lightning sequence to the ride that has flashes of lightning and sounds of thunder play as the ride moves. Since the ride did not fully cover up the space provided, I also built some shop facades and a tower to act as a sort of main street, as it's one of the first things you see upon entering the park. Usually, my last step and favorite step is to add lighting. I think of it as painting with light because it helps add another layer of color and life to the buildings. Overall, I'm quite happy with how it turned out even without the usual TMTK and DLC items I use. Once again, I want to thank Moomin for inviting me onto his series, and I'll see you all around later. Bye now.
And just like that, 3/4 of Main Street is complete. Thank you Starport for not only adding a flat ride, but a whole street facade along with it. Next week, Poetry Slam 78 will be adding yet another flat ride to the park, and this one's a big one. See you then.